What is up there, beautiful people, and welcome to another edition of Just Trending You. So today we are going to really briefly talk about the amendments that have been made to the lockdown regulations, and we're also going to be talking about something that's been trending on Twitter, and that is hashtag Cyril Ramaphosa and hashtag Jacob Zuma. So firstly, the first amendment is, or these are in no particular order, let me just say, taxis will be allowed to ferry essential services staff at 70% capacity and buses and e-hailing services at 50%. The Department of Health would establish a COVID-19 tracing database. I don't know why there hasn't been a database. And just to quickly interject here, I think that is why we have that large number of unallocated cases, because we don't know how to basically track these people down and where to track these people down. So they have tested positive at some point, but we basically don't know who they are. So because of that, we're establishing, or the Department of Health is establishing, a COVID-19 tracing database using cellular technology to track people suspected of having come in contact with the virus to further prevent its spread and assist in testing and treatment processes. So obviously this database will remain confidential, and it will include factors such as the person's name, contact identity details, etc. Call centers providing essential services, including those in the financial sector, will also be allowed to start operating, but under strict physical distancing conditions. We will see how that will pan out. And also amendments to the restrictions on ports and harbors will allow for people with life-threatening medical conditions to exit or enter South Africa for treatment. Wow. Okay, so obviously COVID-19 is a life-threatening disease. So does that mean that we are now allowing people who have those diseases to enter South Africa as well? So basically, those are just the most important that I thought that I would run down. That's a quick rundown of everything that was announced yesterday at the media briefing. So now we're talking about our current President Cyril Ramaphosa, and the former President Thabo Mbeki. And basically what we're saying is that Cyril Ramaphosa has literally been coming under fire on Twitter, and people are actually not at all liking anything that's happening. So firstly, the debate that has come about is how our economy has managed to go into junk status in the 2 years that he's been president. Secondly, I mean, obviously we are facing, COVID-19 and or the Rona. And lastly, people are just generally not really happy in the way in which he is handling the lockdown. So obviously people have had a lot to say on Twitter, and people are basically saying that, Cyril Ramaphosa chose the people of SA over the economy, okay? So this is one sentiment. So this person is saying, I believe the heavens will honor him for that. Let's not compare him to Zuma, because people really are comparing him to Zuma. So if you see on Twitter right now, there's a hashtag Ramaphosa and there's a hashtag, there's a hashtag Zuma, and people are basically saying things were better when Zuma was still president. I mean, that can be argued until people are blue in the face, but the most important thing is that people are just not happy with Ramaphosa at this point, and people are actually blaming him for certain things. So people are saying that, he enforced the lockdown, but, he didn't say how the street vendors would actually, be able to sustain their living and how they'd be able to stay alive, etc. But I just think, it's just a lot for one person to handle. Obviously, I'm not 100% fully happy with everything that Ramaphosa is doing, but what I can say is that he is trying his best. Obviously nobody has ever had any experience with dealing with the Rona, so no one has expertise, no one knows the best way to go, and no one knows, a way that is necessarily not great to take. So I think under the circumstances, he's trying his best, and with them amending and easing down lockdown regulations, I think that is one of the biggest mistakes they can make, because if these taxis are given a gap to operate, they're going to operate. They are going to operate. They're going to take this and run with it to the moon. Also, people have just been expressing sentiments of missing Jacob Zuma, and people just basically saying that Jacob Zuma, wouldn't have allowed people to basically go to I almost swore, but yeah. So people, let me not finish that up. But people are basically saying on Twitter that, if Zuma were in charge, things would be so much better, because Zuma would be essentially taking care of the black man. Okay, so let me just read one tweet. It says, the media has been different since Ramaphosa was inaugurated. We are fed excuses and silly presentations. Now Zuma just got into the equation. They think we're our grandparents. Okay, and yeah, I mean, I think definitely when Zuma was still in charge of South Africa, he did come under lots of scrutiny and people definitely weren't forgiving towards him. But it seems as if now that we have another leader and another president in our midst, that people generally are just, trying to or appreciating him and his efforts a bit more. In terms of my personal opinion, do I miss Jacob Zuma? I mean, no. Do I necessarily like and believe in our current president? No, I think in South Africa we definitely need a change in leadership. I think we just need, because if you notice, the people that have been running South Africa have been the people that were prominent during the liberation struggle. So I think we definitely need just a breath of fresh air in terms of our national leaders. I'm definitely not happy with our current president, although I do think that he's trying his best, in this current situation. But I've just never really been a Ramaphosa supporter. I've always thought that he was, by nature a capitalist. I mean, come on, he's a billionaire and he hasn't pledged anything in the country except his, services, which is what he is obliged to do as the president of the country. So I'm definitely not a Ramaphosa supporter. Jacob Zuma, I just thought, man, with the Guptas and, with the stealing, I think he went a bit too far. But I definitely do feel that he cared a bit more about the average black South African than what Ramaphosa cares. So, I mean, we're just in an unfortunate situation. But guys, instead of us, constantly criticizing, if you have something better to say, or if you have like something better to bring forth, then, yeah, say it. Let's just not criticize. Let's provide constructive criticism. Let's provide criticism and also provide solutions or ideas on how we can tackle the areas that we think we are lacking in as a country. So thank you very much for listening to the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next update.